Hello everyone. Welcome to another session of Learn Microsoft Fabric with Merdad. I'm very excited to kick off the session 5 of the series of the Learn Microsoft Fabric. So, first of all, thank you for all of you who joined. I know in the previous sessions and the positive feedbacks that you're sending, in the private messages in the community, and in the groups. Thank you very much. Before starting the session, let me just add three tips here. Let me share my screen. If you missed any sessions in the past sessions, you can just find them in the YouTube channel. And let me just show you where you can find it in the YouTube channel. It is the URL of that, Merdad Abdullahi 2024, and you can find me here. And so you can find, in the homepage, of course, there are some categories there, but the live sessions that we have, you can just find them in the live section, and you can see the completed ones, session 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we are 5, and also the upcoming live sessions. At this stage, we are a bit in rush for completing the sessions in the during the period of Microsoft Build challenge. So we are a bit in rush to complete these 8 sessions. Once this period of Microsoft Build challenge is over on June 21st, we will a bit slow down. And at the moment we have 2 live sessions per week, right? So after that, it will be 1 session per week, until we get actually finish the course for DP-600 exam, right? And just keep in mind that the modules that are in Microsoft Build Challenge are not covering 100% of the DP-600, and once it is done, we have to just take other modules and courses as well, like Power BI and other kind of modules in Fabric. And as you know, Fabric is keeps growing, keeps improving. The documentations are not 100% up to date, and we have to just work on them. We will have the just sessions to walk through those changes there. Cool. Here you can just find the live videos, and if you missed them, and also there is a playlist for this one, DP-600 Microsoft Fabric, and also another playlist, Learn Microsoft Fabric with Merdad. And if you're interested in learning about Azure Data Fundamentals, you can just hit this link. We will have other live sessions or a full course of this Azure Data Fundamental version 2024 later. Yeah, let me just jump into my slides. Hey, Manuel. Cool, let's kick it off. It is Merdad Abdullahi. If you would like to just join with me, connect me, feel free to scan this QR code. Let's connect in LinkedIn, and we can just chat more there. And if you would like to be part of the group of Learn Microsoft Fabric with me, just you can scan this QR code as well to just join to that group. Let's make sure we're gonna share your experiences, share your knowledge, share your achievements, and if you have any question, you can just ask there, right? We have other experts and peers that who are going to help, very helpful there, right? So we have completed 4 sessions, which is fantastic. We passed actually the 50% of the way. Now we are in session 5, which we are talking about data warehouses in Microsoft Fabric. And the module that we are going to complete here is called Get Started with Data Warehouse in Microsoft Fabric. So what we are going to learn today is basically the end of this session. You will be able to just describe the data warehouse in Fabric, understanding the difference between a data warehouse and a data lakehouse. And also, we're gonna work with the data warehouse in Fabric and creating and managing the fact tables and dimension tables within a data warehouse. So before jumping into the Fabric itself, let's just have an overview of what is a data warehouse and having a fundamental knowledge of the data warehouse. So data warehouse is basically a system for which is going to be used for reporting and analysis, for the data analysis. It is the core component of your BI systems, the business intelligence systems. Without data warehouse, you cannot have those, reports and visualizations, of course. It is the central repository of the integrated data from various sources, and which are just sitting in different locations, or even only one source, right? But it is going to be just integrated and targeted for a analytical purpose. Data warehouse is basically a relational database, right? It is consisting of tables and views. The tables like the fact and dimension tables that we basically call them multidimensional models, or dimensional model of the data. In the data warehouse, let me just say it like this. In the transactional database, we all know that it is going to be a normalized database, right? To just reduce the duplication, making sure of consistency of the data, and so on and so forth, right? But in data warehouse, we basically denormalize the data in order to have a better performance and reporting. We are not worried about the duplication in data warehouse, right? And so it is going to be denormalized. In data warehouse, and basically the whole concept of that, we are just having the numerical data that are going to be grouped based on some dimensions, or for example, a count of orders based on a location, based on a store, or based on a region, right? And the common data warehouse schemas are Star and Snowflake. We will just walk through them later. So we talked about the tables in a data warehouse. So we basically have two main category of the tables, which is fact table and dimension tables, and one optional table that is related to the integrations and staging processes. For the fact tables, fact tables is basically containing the numerical data to be analyzed, right? And there are a lot of records there, having a large set of records, and it is the primary source of the data for analysis. We are just going to analyze the numbers, right? We are going to analyze the facts, and the example of that can be, like I mentioned before, the total amount of sales orders, of a store on a specific date, for example. Even we can just combine the dimensions, right? And we have the columns there of dimension keys, and also the measures, metrics, and also facts. So, and and on the other side we have the dimension table. In the dimension table, the data is mostly descriptive data that we are going to use in our analysis, and it is connected to the fact tables, right? In the fact table, we mentioned we have the dimension keys that are going to be linked, actually referencing to the dimension table. In the dimension table, we have lower, amount of the records, and it is basically providing the context of the data that we have in fact table by those relationship. And one example could be the information of customers who have orders in the fact table. And the columns that we have there are keys, which are including the surrogate key and alternate key. We will talk about that, and also attributes. Attributes are, the attribute of, for example, for a customer, what is the name of that customer, or what is the age of that customer, for example. And we also have an optional type of the table in data warehouse, but that's most of the data engineers like to have them. Is the integration tables, where we have we can just make benefit of that in order to staging our data. And it is actually a place for bringing the data in, the raw data, let's say, and doing our preparation and customization on the data, transformation on the data, and then load it to either the fact table or dimension table. So there are basically two types of spatial, types of dimension tables in data warehouse. First of all, is the time dimensions. I think it is part of all data warehouses, because all businesses would like to just track their progress, and what they would like to have an overview of their business during the time. What happened in the past month? What happened in the past year? And they want to compare that. How was in this fiscal year? How was our progress in the past fiscal year? So it is very crucial that it's going to provide information about a period of time in which an event occurred. The event can be the sales or whatever. It is mostly pre-built in a data model. They can be added, by a predefined, process. But even it can be added manually or by programming or something like that. Data analysts actually can use it, of course, to aggregate their facts over temporal intervals, like yearly, quarterly, or monthly. And the columns, the common columns that we always have in this time dimension table, or a year, quarter, month, day, and of a sales order, for example. And then the key is going to be utilized in fact table. A type of dimension table, which is very depending on that dimension table, that's how often that dimension table data is going to be changed, right? So here, slowly changing dimensions come up. That is basically tracking the changes actually to dimension attributes. And for example, a customer has changed his location, right? Now, in the last month he was in US, for example, and now he's moved to UK. So when we are, if we don't have this slowly changing dimension, and we just copy that data from transactional data to analytical data into our data warehouse, we are updating the location of that customer, right? And now the current, the current, location of that customer is UK. But what will be happen to the previous, reports that he used to be in US? It is going to be a bit difficult, and it is going to be inaccurate data, right? But slowly changing dimension comes here to ensure the actually the data stays up to date and also accurate. We will just talk about how we can achieve that later. So we talked about the keys in dimension table, right? We have two type of keys: surrogate key and alternate key. And it is basically, somehow related to the slowly changing dimensions. That let's give you again the example in the table, right? Before jumping into the the keys. In these data sets that I'm showing in this slide, we can on top. Sorry, let's just start with the bottom one. In the transactional order table, right, we have a customer with ID of 100, and this customer has 2 orders, right? And let's go a little bit up. We have the in a time that customer was in US when was for example making the order 1000, and after that moved to UK. Then we have the customer actually who ordered the order number of 1250. So it is that difference actually of the change on the dimension that needs to be tracked. And in order to achieve that one, we need a surrogate key and alternate key. The alternate key basically is the natural and business key for each instance of entity in the transactional source system. In the transactional source system, the customer ID is 100. But when we want to analyze our data, we have to take care of the changes in the attributes which are important to the business, right? When we are talking about the location. So when a customer changes location, we need to take care of that. When the customer was in location A, we need to just analyze that data against that location. And when he moves to another location, it should not impact the the data in the previous location. So here we need a surrogate key that is going to be added to our dimension, which is going to just differentiate between these two records for that specific customer. I hope it is digested well. If not, just write in the comments. We can just walk more about that. Walk more about this one and explain it later. And the surrogate key is basically a unique key in the dimension table that is going to be an incremental one mostly, and which is going to be utilized in the fact table, right? About data warehouse schema design, we actually mentioned we have two common schema design in data warehouses, which are star and also the snowflake. We also have another one which is called Galaxy. But let's just talk about these two. For the star, basically schemas for data warehouses are the way that we are managing our data model, how we are connecting the fact table to dimension tables. So in the star schema, which is a common actually data warehouse schema, we have, of course, the denormalized data, which a fact in the center, and then we have the dimensions that are linked to that fact table, and there is no other dimensions, other relationship between the dimensions themselves, and it is basically directly connected to the fact table. On the other side, we have Snowflake. It very depends to your scenario and how complex is your data to be, analyzed, right? We may have to create the Snowflake schema that, and we have to, just normalize it in comparison with star schema. So it is all about how we are normalizing our data in the data warehouse. As you can see in the Snowflake, in the right side, for example, for dimension of product, we have other dimensions that are connected to the product and not directly to the fact fact table, which are category and supplier, for example. Cool. We have now a basic knowledge of the data warehouses. Let's jump into the Fabric, how it is working in Fabric, how the data warehouses are presented there. Basically, in Fabric, we have a modern version of data warehouse, actually a modern version of the traditional data warehouse. It is providing us with the full SQL semantics and full SQL possibilities, like inserting data, updating, deleting the tables, creating. We can create different types of SQL objects, whatever that is needed, like views, stored procedures, and functions. Data warehouse in Fabric is built on the lakehouse, which is stored in Delta format, and can be actually queried via SQL. And it is basically, in the data in Fabric, we create the data warehouse to be used by the whole team of the data, right, and not necessarily for the data engineers. Once it is there, it can be used by data analyst and data scientist even, right? It is a fully managed one, scalable and highly available in Fabric. It is very optimized for doing the analytics, which is, basically we are reading the data from that, right? But however, there are possibilities to, write it. As I mentioned, you can create the tables, views, and other type of the database objects. And at the end, data engineers can just create a logical layer, actually logical relationship model on top of the physical data that are sitting in our lakehouse, right? Our data lake. And then it can be utilized by the Power BI developers or data analysts and data scientists. Let's have a quick comparison of data warehouses and data lakehouses. It is not basically one-to-one comparison. Let's just firstly walk through the data lakehouse and see what is it. We've previously covered that in the first session of this live series, but as short, we can just review that. A lakehouse is a collection of files, folders, tables, and shortcuts. It is acting like a database over the data lake, and it is used by Spark and SQL engines to be, to work on the data to be analyzed. And also it has the feature of ACID transactions, atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. And you can read the data from there. You can only read the data, right? While working with SQL. On the other side, we have the data warehouse, which is built on Lakehouse, and it is allowing you transition between actually from a lake view to SQL experience as provided in the traditional data warehouse, where we can just manipulate the data, right? We can create the database objects. You can model the data using tables and views, right? And that basically relational model will be on top of the physical data in the lakehouse. So in order to create a data warehouse in Fabric, we can either use, of course, it is going to be part of the Synapse data engineering experience, or even we can just create it from our Create Hub. And of course, it is a part of a workspace. So let's jump into the Fabric portal and create one, right? So in the landing page, we can use Synapse Data Warehouse, or even from the bottom, we can choose the data warehouse. And from here, it is there, the warehouse. And let's give it a name. I will call it, let's say DP-600, session 5, data warehouse 1. Nice name. So once the data warehouse is created, we can see that it looks like, a database, right? There we can have, in the schema, in the schemas, we can just create our tables, views, and other objects. But, from scratch, we need to build a data warehouse, right? When we want to build a data warehouse, we can start from a TSQL by creating the first table, or loading data via the data flow pipeline, or even with a sample of data. But for now, let's keep it as is. Let's jump back to our slides. As I mentioned, in order to load data and ingest data into warehouse, there are various ways. Maybe the very common one is using the data pipeline. We've talked about that in the previous session. If you have missed that, you can just have a look at it. And we can load the data via data flows, where we can directly, transform that. And there are also two other possibilities here, which is cross warehouse querying. You can add another warehouse that is existing in the workspace, or even in the other workspace, but it is available in your organization. And also, you can copy into just use a copy into command to load the data from files or from URLs. That file can be sitting in a Parquet in your Lakehouse, or even it is somewhere else in your Azure Data Lake storage, right? And so let's create our first table. I will use the SQL query to create my first table. And in order to do that, let me copy let's just say this. So it's a simple table. Let's run it, which is a dimension of product. As the columns here, we can see that now in the DBO schema, right? When we just click on that, we can see the data if there is any. If not, nothing is going to be shown there, right? There's nothing here. Let's load some data to this one in order to have some visibility on that. We already have a SQL query here, right? We can either add it in the bottom and only run this part of the code and load some data here to see what's happening here. So I guess it is better to just select top 100 of that. Yeah. Top 1000, top 100, yeah. So it is the data, you can save it as a table, the result set, whatever that is coming up, and even just open it in Excel or doing other things. And yeah, so in order to create the tables and loading data in Fabric Data Warehouse, I jumped ahead a bit in my exercise. Actually, in order to create the tables, you can either create a new table from scratch, like what I did, and there are different ways you can just go through the schema tables and that triple dots, then new table, or even executing actually creating a new table in the statement. And also you can clone an existing table to copy the metadata of that table. Let's do that. The first thing in the tables, you can just click on it and say new table, or even when you're creating a new SQL query, you can say table. So it is going to create a table for you, right? It is just generating that statement for you. I mentioned that we can clone a table, right? It is going to clone this table, for example, this dimension of product. We give it a name like this, and it is going to basically copy the metadata of that table. So that table is going to be created here, as you can see, and it is also including the data, right? Cool. And what else? Yeah, we clone the data. Awesome. Before jumping into this, let's complete this section, and then we will create our data sets. When we want to create the tables, right? In the data warehouse, we learned that we have fact tables and dimension tables, and we may have some staging table, right? When we want to create these tables, firstly we need to just do some considerations, right? Have some considerations about the tables that we are going to create. First of all, we need to understand where our data is coming from, how often that data is going to be loaded, how often it is going to be changed, and do we need the staging table? Do we need to have, for example, the slowly changing dimension? Do we need this surrogate key that we discussed in the beginning? It is a once-off load, or it is going to be continuously loading. For the once-off load, for example, we have a dimension of gender, right? It's not going to, the values there are not going to be changed. So we don't need to having a specific, for example, pipeline and schedule that. So it is a once-off load, or even the list of countries or cities. It is not going to be changed every single time, right? Every single day. So it is very important how often we are going to run it, and if that data needs any preparation before loading to the data warehouse. So there is a common suggestion actually for when we are loading the data in our tables. So firstly, we ingest the data into a data lake, or in the lake house, or somewhere in our storage in one lake. Then that data can be we can actually load the data from files, different files, into our staging table. Then we can prepare that in the data warehouse, in pipelines, just prepare the data, and basically adding the data into our dimensions. And we can add the key, surrogate key, or alternate key if it is required. And after that, we will go over the fact tables, and we will look up the keys in our dimensions, and of course the surrogate key if it is a slowly changing dimension. And once it is loaded, we can just do some post-load optimization, like indexing or whatever that is required for a successful analytical solution. So before jumping into this next section, let's load our data here. Let me bring my cool. I copy. So the the script that I copied is basically for loading 4 tables. It is from Microsoft Learn exercise section, and the dimension product that we have created is going to be dropped, of course, because we are going to load more data into this one. It is what this actually script does. It is deleting the tables, and deleting the existing tables, of course, and creating them, and then inserting the data to that table. I just selected the wrong thing. Just run it as whole. So after some seconds, our data will be available here, and we can just do our query. In order to query the data in the data warehouse, we can either use the SQL query editor, like what we are doing now, which is this T-SQL. It is my preference. What's your preference? Is it the SQL, or making use of the visualized, actually editors, which is here is called Visual Query Editor. That there you will have a no-code and drag and drop experience. Just dragging the table into your canvas and doing whatever that's. If you're familiar with Power Query diagram, it is something like that. It is similar to that one that we discussed in the previous session. It is like that, and you can just drag and drop and filter that. Even we can merge the tables. There are some visualized steps, but for me, I'm coder. Coding is my cardio, and so I do like having the SQL codes. So let's back to the portal and see, yeah, the data is completed. And just keep in mind, the SQL queries that we are actually loading and using, creating, they are all in the, 3, actually in the queries folder, right? They are available here. And which you can just rename them, or use it for future purposes. So we have created, let me just close this guy, and this guy also. I want to discard changes, and here, yeah, our tables are created now. 3-dimension table and one fact table. Don't care about this clone one, which we have created from the previous slides. And in order to do the query, you can either use a blank query here. You can, like SSMS, you can just select top from there or clone the database, and even using this new visual query. Let's start with SQL query. You can just drag and drop it here and select start from. Sorry. I'm sorry. So we've got it here. You can just run our query, whatever that is needed, from the where clause, whatever that is available in SQL. And also we can create a new visualized one, by dragging our object like this, for example, customer, and then we can just add something. For example, we can choose columns from there, what columns we need for this, for this query. For example, I need the customer alt key, first name and last name. That's it. And then you can just, for example, even bring your fact table here, right? And from the fact table, you can just, merge the queries, right? What is going to be, the merge basically is join, right? In SQL. We're going to join it with, for example, the query one. And in the right side, we can have the dimension and what kind of join you're going to take care of. There's left outer join, right join, or full join, inner join, whatever that is your case. So before doing these things, we learned how to start a query, and we need to prepare our data for analysis and reporting in data warehouse. The first thing that I need to do that is a semantic model, right? Which will be used by data analysts to create the reports in Power BI, and it is basically defining the defining the relationship between different tables, right? And and it is also defining the rules how the data is going to be aggregated and summarized. It is going to contain the measures and calculations that are already in a table, right? And there we can create the measures, and but before that, let's just create our semantic model and make those relationships, right? In data warehouse, we have 3 views, right? The one view is our data view, as we covered that. We have the query view. It can be either the SQL query or the visualized query. And we have a view which is called model. In the model, we have actually the semantic model, right? All tables are available here. We don't have this many tables, and some of them are the views that are created automatically, right? By creating a semantic model. We have discussed that in the first session when we were creating the lake house, and we noticed that some new views are going to be added automatically. Some tables are going to be added automatically to our default semantic model. But we've got a default semantic model that basically you can add to your layout, everything. And we need to, let me just zoom in. we need to create the relationship between these three, right? This actually 4 tables. Let me bring it. And the fact cells table. So what we can do here is, we don't want this clone one. What we need here is just making the relationship between these tables. For example, from the fact table, we can just connect the customer key, for example, to our customer key in the customer dimension. And here we define how it is going to have our data. It is one to many or many to one, whatever that we have. For example, when we are dragging from fact table, basically we have the many records of a customer, so it is going to be many to one, right? It is one. We do the same for date key. And we also do the same thing for product key. Cool. We're good, right? And yeah, we have created our model. Then we can just, in the query section, we can query that. Let's have some sort of queries here to see how it is working. For example, in this query, we are just joining the dimension to the fact table. Even without that, relationship, we could create, we could just run this query. But with that relationship, the performance, of course, is going to be much better. So now we can just query it like this, or even adding more, joins there. It is a normal query that is basically aggregating the data against aggregating the data from fact table against the dimensions, right? So it is a feasible thing here. Even we can create the views, right? We mentioned that we can create the objects, the database objects in our data warehouse. For this one, we are creating a view that is going to be available at the end in our view section, and of course can be, it can be, queried like this. And of course, that view is going to be part of our semantic model, right? Which is now here. Let me just find it. Yeah, it's here. The view and tables both are available in the semantic model. And yeah, that's it from this side. Let's just move to the other section. So we mentioned that in semantic model, we can create our measures, right? The measures are basically one of the ways that we can do the data transformation and calculation. It is not the only way, right? We can do the calculation and transformation in data flow, right? So the measure is one of the ways. In order to do that, either in model or data view, we can create a new measure. And for that one, we will use DAX formula language. DAX is for data analysis experience formula language. In order to do that, as you can see, Oh, we've got a view there. Sometimes it is not working. Sometimes it is not working since there is a problem in our model, right? So let's add it here. And for this view, let's see if we can add this view, or let me drop this view and see if it is going to be resolved. Not yet. The new measure button sometimes going to be disabled due to the issues that we have in workspace and in the the namespaces. But let's just reload it and see if it is going to be visible for us. Not yet. Yeah, something is wrong there actually, and we'll need to just look more look for a solution for this one and a proper answer why this new measure column sometimes is inactive. If you have experienced that, you can just write it in the comments. But I was testing and I found that when we have a neat and tidy model, then we can have that measure. Let me just drop this guy as well, the cloned one. Then check it. We may have to start from scratch for having that new measure there. That's fine. Let's just walk through the semantic model. So in the semantic model, we can do other activities like hiding, the fields, or even a table, a view from that semantic model. So that semantic model is going to be available for our data analyst, right? Does the data analyst really need to see the alternate key, for example, or is everything required for them? For example, let's say in dimension of product, I will just make the alt key, the surrogate key as to be, invisible. And also, yeah, that's it. I would only field that I want to, make invisible. Then from there, we can just hide the whole table, right? And from there, we can just create a visualization without leaving the data warehouse experience, which is fantastic, right? And everything is available there. And we can just create our reports either in model or data view. We are in the model view, and we can create our new report from here. It is going to bring all of these, 4 tables and views. Actually, there's no view. 4 tables are going to be added to there, to our actually reporting section, which is an experience of Power BI. And let's bring it in. For example, from dimension of products, I will bring the category. And from fact table, I would say, let's say sales total. And then we can just make it as a chart like this. And of course, we can, save it. And we can save it either in my workspace or in the other workspace. Right. Let's save it here. Sales report 2024, for example. We can also have the Copilot here. Of course, it is not available now for me. I need to just have some sort of configuration in my workspace, but let's move to our data warehouse. So we visualize the data. Fantastic. So when a data warehouse is created, of course, we need the security for this, right? And there are some available security features in Fabric against a data warehouse, which are the role-based access control. We can have the roles in the workspace and in the whole Fabric and control the access to the data warehouse and its data, of course. We have the SSL encryption when a communication is happening between the data warehouse and client applications. It is going to be encrypted. We have the Azure Storage Service encryption, which is going to protect the data in transit or even at rest. It is going to be encrypted also. We have the possibilities of Azure Monitor and Azure Log Analytics. We'll talk about the monitoring later. And we have the multi-factor authentication for an extra layer of the security for users. And we also have an integration with Microsoft Intra ID or Active Directory to just have a better experience of managing the user identity and also their access. There are two types of security permissions in Fabric. The first permission type is on the workspace level, that there are workspace roles that are going to actually manage the access to the the whole workspace, and it is going to be applied to all items within a workspace. But sometimes you want to be very specific for an item within a workspace. Here we have the item permissions. So it can be used to actually grant access to an individual warehouse. In this case, we're talking about the data warehouse now. And the permissions that we are going to grant to them, it can be done with SQL or even via Fabric portal. We will just have a look at that one quickly. And the available, permission types for an item permission can be the read, which is going to just allow the users to make a connection to your data warehouse. It is, when you create a permission, when you create a permission, basically it is the default one, and it's going to be applied for that user. That's a permission. We can provide them with access to the read data. For the read data, it is going to actually allow the users to read data from either tables and or views within the data warehouse. The next one will be read all. Read all means that user has the possibility to read the data from Parquet files where our actual data is stored. Let's step back. What is Parquet files and where our data is stored, right? Initially, we mentioned that data warehouse is basically built on the lakehouse, right? In the lakehouse, the tables, remember, the tables were created in the Parquet files and also in the Delta log, folders, right? And the other type of the permission that we have for items is built with that is basically providing the users to create to use the models and create the reports on top of them. Let's have a quick look at that one. In order to do that, let's go to my workspace and find the data warehouse that we have created. And also here I have my report as well, right? The data warehouse that I have here, I can just either use this share. When I use the share, it is bringing up this grant access, or even from here, again, share, right? Here you can use the email address from your organization, the user from your organization. Of course, it is something available for the owner of that data warehouse, or the admin of Fabric. There you can just provide it with read all data, or read data, or read all, or even build. And it can be a notification to be sent to that user that you're granted this access. Okay, so of course, each data warehouse needs to be monitored, right? In terms of just make sure it is working well, right? And so monitoring here in data warehouse is basically helping us to identify the issues if there's any. It is going to detect anomalies, and further we can just take actions and to keep the data warehouse running smoothly and securely. In order to do that, Fabric is providing us with three views, three DMVs actually, which is standing for dynamic management views, to monitor the connection between data warehouse and engines. For that one, we use this view, system exec connections. We can use another view which is related to the session authenticated between data warehouse and that engine, and also requesting a monitoring a view for monitoring the request statuses. The request is basically the script that is coming through the towards the data warehouse. And there, with that view, we can monitor our queries. So it happens that in a database, in a data warehouse, some queries are running for a long time, right? And they had to be stopped somewhere. They have to be killed, and further we do the optimization of that query. So we can find it here by that view to see which of them is the long running one, and then from there we can find the session ID, and further we can kill that session, right? And of course, in order to kill the session and kill that request, we have to have the admin privilege. Let's have a quick look on that section. Yep. Let me just go to my data warehouse and let's run some queries there. Previously I had some query here loaded. What is my query? This creating views. Example, this one, right? It is running, and we can have another query, for example, here, which is talking about the request, right? What is running? Nothing is running at the moment. Actually, it was running, and we have time slap for this one, the request ID and session ID, right? And from there we can just find that session. The session ID is 140. Let's execute this one, and from there we can just find the user which is causing this long running, right? And from there, from that session, we can find it. Why it is not? It is not an active one, so it is not showing. Let's run it like this, or at least something like this. The session IDs. You can have the session ID, the small int. Why it is complaining about conversion failed? Let's check it out like this, if it is working. It is complaining about this one. That's fine. Yeah. Then after that, when we find it, we can just kill that session by, providing the session ID. This one now, it is not working with me for the conversion. I have no idea for now, because the data type of this session ID is, let's check it like this. Oh, yeah. It should be this. No. Session ID. No, I just copied the, script from the Microsoft Layer, page. But yeah, that's it. We found that, then we can kill it, right? If it is actually running for a long time. Good. Yeah, it is knowledge check time. Yeah, go for it, guys. You can just write the answers in the comments, or if you have any question with regard to whatever that we discussed, yeah, feel free to add your comments there. Whatever that we discussed. Let's wait a little bit more. Awesome. Shanti, BAA. Any more? Cool. Let's move to the section. So the answers are B, A, C. So basically, the dimension table for question 1. Dimension table is keeping the attribute values for a dimension, right? For actually an entity like supplier. Supplier attributes are going to be stored in the dimension table. For the second question, a semantic model in the data warehouse is basically a logical and object, actually business-oriented data model on top of the physical data, right? That we can, for actually semantic model can be defined as much as we want. We can create the semantic models in data warehouse. For example, one model for scenario A and the other one another scenario, right, for another department even. And when we want to actually provide the items permission in a workspace, it is basically working with the individual, items like warehouses within a workspace. We can just grant access to them via the item permissions that we covered. So congratulations, you have completed another module in Microsoft Fabric, which is the working with the data warehouses. We will have another session for data warehouses, specifically for loading the data into data warehouses, which we will use the pipelines and data flows, and also some other, considerations and explanation of, for example, slowly changing dimension about its types and how we will manage them. So you can just find it there. It will be, I think, the last session of this series, the session 8 of the series of Build Edition. Of course, we will continue with that. I just explained it in the beginning of the event. Yeah. So we have completed the session 5, and which is fantastic. The next session will be in this Wednesday, that we will talk about real-time intelligence. So it is really a must-attend thing, right? It is talking about the event houses, where we want to have the real-time analytics. Yeah, thank you very much. Stay tuned. Feel free to just watch the the videos in the past videos, actually past lives that we had. Watch and feel free to join the LinkedIn groups that we have, and share it with your friends, and let's learn together and grow together. And Shanti, thank you very much for joining and being active. If there is no more question, we can wrap up the session. And Miriam, thank you for joining. Cool. If there is no more question, we can just wrap it up. Thank you very much, and stay tuned until the next time. Take care. Have a good one.